We're bringing people in who are going to feel the pain of sequestration on a local level. I'm joined tonight by Congressman Peter Welch of Vermont, and also with us is Jerry Nadler of New York. Gentlemen, good to have you with us.
Good to be here.
Congressman Welch, in your area, I mean, this is going to be an immediate effect to families that are on this fuel assistance program. What about that?
It's tough. You know, the price of fuel is going up and the temperature is going down. And it's really tough on a lot of families. And we depend on getting some help for low-income heating assistance. And in fact, that budget was cut even before the sequester. And the state legislature, with very little money, and Governor Shumlin is trying to fill the hole. So this is going to be very, very painful for a lot of low-income families. It's going to be painful for folks at the airport when the lines are longer. It's going to be painful for some folks who work in defense-related industries in small, peaceful Vermont. So this is a big deal for us.
Congressman Nadler, what will you lose if Republicans fail to act by March 1st?
Well, we'll lose about $878 million in Sandy aid, you know, to get some of our people back on their feet, to get the city back on its feet. We'll lose about $10 million in homeless services and $10 million in home heating assistance each. We'll lose about $75 million, I gather, from support for the New York City Housing Authority to keep to maintain those buildings.
Are your districts ready for these cuts? What about that, Jerry?
No, not at all. The city and the state are both scrambling and struggling to keep up the city and state share. We depend on the federal money, and a sudden cut. I mean, these have been cut back before. I mean, the budget's been cut substantially in the last couple of years. A huge budget cut on top of this in home heating assistance and in aid, certainly in Sandy aid, would be disastrous.
Sure. Congressman Welch, what do you think is going to happen? What's the solution here?
Well, the solution is that we don't act so stupid. I mean, this is really a dumb move. It's not as though we can't handle getting the deficit under control by doing some of the things the president mentioned.
But the Republicans say no more revenue. The Republicans have drawn the line in the sand, no more revenue. So where does that leave the Democrats?
Get rid of the loopholes. You know, in the fiscal cliff legislation, we put in a paragraph at the 11th hour that gave Amgen about $500 million in increased reimbursements for a Medicare drug. I mean, there's loopholes in there that just have no basis whatsoever in the budget, and it cost an immense amount of money. And instead, what we're doing is shifting the pain down to the states. Jerry's state with Sandy and our state with home heating assistance and a tight budget. It's really going to be rough, but the point is it's unnecessary. And at the macro level, at the big level, it's just a very weak way for the United States to present itself in the world. We can deal with our problems if we use our head. And
well, there's going to be local problems, and everybody's going to feel it. These Republicans are going to feel it in their backyard when it comes to defense contracts. And speaking of local problems, Senator John McCain did not support the president's Fix It First plan during the State of the Union address. But this might change McCain's mind about funding for the nation's infrastructure. A 200-foot-long section of the U.S. 89 near Phoenix literally dropped 4 feet this morning. The Department of Transportation says the sudden buckling of the road is not weather-related, and they expect the road is going to be shut down for an extended period of time. We have got bridges, gentlemen, in this country, in your backyard, Jerry Nadler, that no doubt have got to have some attention.
We have 78,000 structurally deficient bridges in this country. I think what we ought to do is put a sign at the beginning of every bridge that says, this bridge is structurally deficient, proceed at your risk, and see what political pressure developed to start fixing our bridges. The American Society of Civil Engineers says we have a $2.2 trillion backlog of just getting our roads and highways and bridges and water systems up to a safe, reasonable level. And this kind of cutback that we're doing now, the sequester, besides being stupid because it's across the board and undiscriminating, and besides being unnecessary, is absolutely harmful for all the specific reasons we're talking about, but also it will take so much demand out of the economy that the estimates are it will cost at least 1 million jobs, at least a point in economic growth, and probably about a point in unemployment, in increased unemployment. And we should simply scrap it. You know, we've reduced the deficit from 10.1% of GDP to 7%, and it's going down to 5%. That's enough for the moment. Concentrate on unemployment, concentrate on getting the economy back in shape. Worry about the long-term deficit problem after we've got the economy in shape.